You're great. Thank you. Thank you.
Dankeschön. Hallo und willkommen auf der Galileo7. And that is the extent of my German tonight. But thank you for your support. Now, there's a little problem. Backstage we had a technical difficulty. And I didn't see the tape that just ran. And so, I am going to ask Renee if we can run it again, because I haven't seen it.
Excuse me, Patrick, but you did ask for the video, not for the audio.
I asked for the video. That was my mistake. I know it's naive of me to assume that when I ask for the video, it means audio.
Yeah, we Germans, we are extremely precise.
I didn't know that. And also, I think it would be nice if it were running in the right direction as well.
Oh, you didn't mention that.
It seemed to me that it was going backwards.
Yes,
Which is novel, but I'd like to see it from the beginning to the end with audio.
Okay, there it is. Oh, you meant right now?
No, yes.
Oh, yeah, okay.
There are comedians everywhere.
Join the family.
And make sure that history never forgets the name Oktober, Picard, USS flight.
I am locatus from this time forward to your service. Us. Convention is proud to present Patrick Stewart.
You see, I needed to know what you had just watched, because then it gave me a sense of where you were in relation to me being here on stage, because I don't know what René was putting together. He could have been coupling all kinds of horrible stuff. Concocting, because somebody once did this. They took lots of clips of film and put together something that was borderline obscene. Now, I wouldn't have expected him to do that, but nevertheless, it's pleasant for me to see it. And in addition, I have to tell you, much of those shots bring back wonderfully pleasant memories. Not all of them, but much of them that I've actually almost forgotten. You have no idea how much trouble I got into for that one cigarette. Oh, I mean, it was close to being thrown off the show. I slipped it in a shot and persuaded the director it would be all right, but smoking was absolutely forbidden on Next Generation. I think it's the only cigarette, maybe it's the only cigarette that's ever been seen in the whole genre of Star Trek. Would that be right? No? No, well, what do I know? Well, this is delightful. I am so happy to finally be attending my first convention in Germany. I promise you, it's not for want of invitations. There have been plenty, and it's not because I haven't wanted to come. It's been a simple matter of scheduling and availability. But to be here at this time, particularly now that the reality of the end of Next Generation is pretty well guaranteed, to be reviving some of these memories and meeting the people who kept us on the air for so long. Usually, at this point, I'm talking about what I've been doing and what I plan to do. The fact is that you're looking at an actor who has effectively just taken 9 months off. I haven't really been doing anything. Nothing of major significance. And there's nothing immediately planned either, so I can't talk about upcoming projects that are imminent or things that I'm involved with now. I can tell you that, so far as I'm aware, we will be shooting X-Men 3 next summer. I feel the same way. I'm delighted. And by the way, how many of you recognize Famke Janssen in one of the shots? Little did either of us think when I was giving her away to be married as a beautiful bride that she would end up one day as one of my X-Men. Is it possible, having made a demand on you to rerun that video, is it possible to bring lights up in the auditorium? Because that's better. Now, I hope you can't see me any less well, but the fact of the matter is I can see you now, and that's much nicer for me. Because you're all so gorgeous. So I don't have things to tell you about my life and work. But there is one thing I can tell you. It may have reached you that a few weeks ago I had a relatively minor but urgent medical procedure. It was totally successful, and I'm now healthier than I was 2 months ago. And Just like the good captain, I have a little piece of metal now, round about here. And that's keeping me well. So what I'm going to do, rather than just simply prattle on, is to throw this session, because we don't have a lot of time, to questions and find out what you want to hear me talk about. And so we'll take the first question from this side.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, hi. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
I know that one of your favorite roles is Shylock in Merchant of Venice. You have played that many times and you have a one-man performance on that role and on that play. I wonder, have you seen this movie that's out by Al Pacino? Maybe you can tell something about this stage performance of yours, and maybe you have seen this film that's out now, I think.
Thank you. Can you all hear the question, or do I have to repeat it? You heard the question? This gentleman is talking about Shakespeare's play, The Merchant of Venice. Yes, I've been in the play 3 times. I've also created a one-man performance around the role of Shylock and the play. No, I have not seen Mike Bradford's new movie with Al Pacino and Jeremy Irons. But what I can tell you is that we are getting close to pre-production of a film of The Merchant of Venice of my own. We have been working on this for almost 2 years. In fact, I have been thinking about a film of The Merchant of Venice for 15 years. The film would already have been made were it not for Mike Bradford and Al Pacino. They got their movie up and running first, and that kind of put us out of business for a year. But we're back in business again, and if everything goes as brilliantly as we hope it will, we may well be in production of The Merchant of Venice by April or May of next year. Shooting in Nevada. I'll leave the rest to your imagination. It is a contemporary modern dress version. Not modern dress, it's a contemporary version in the same way that the Romeo and Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet was contemporary.
You did something like that with King Lear, didn't you?
Not quite like that, no. King Lear was not Shakespeare's play. It was based on Shakespeare's play, and it was set in Texas in 1841. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This one here. Hello.
Hello, good evening, sir. I have 2 questions. The first one, we all know you like Shakespeare. Why do you like Shakespeare?
Recently, someone told me that things like taste, I mean, you know, the taste that your taste buds experience, and smell is not a matter of personal choice and fondness. That actually all of those responses to things we like to taste, things we don't like to taste of, things we like to smell, and so forth, are actually genetic. You cannot help, in my case, not liking cooked mushrooms. And there's nothing I can do about it. You can force me to eat them, I will never like them. I don't like the smell of marzipan. It's all right, I can get through life without smelling marzipan. It's not a big habit. But it is now believed that these responses are programmed from the very beginning. And this is a long-winded way of saying that it is as difficult for me to explain why I love Shakespeare as it might be to explain why I like the smell of tomatoes. or what that smell is. When I was 12, it might even have been a good bit younger, I heard Shakespeare's language for the first time, and it thrilled me. And I don't know why. Most of it I couldn't even understand. But when the time came for me to speak some of it out loud, the excitement was even greater. And that, combined with a growing intellectual pleasure that I got out of it, coupled with the fact that I came to believe him to be the most naturalistic of writers that I've ever encountered, and perhaps more of an actor's friend than any other dramatist that ever lived, he became a central part of my life. And I was watching a Shakespeare play just a few days ago, and had an almost visceral sense that if I didn't act Shakespeare again very, very soon, I would get really sick. Because I haven't actually played a Shakespearean role for, I have no idea actually, I can't remember, but it was a long time ago. And I'm suffering withdrawal symptoms for it. So that's why it's really impossible to say why I love it. Those are only illustrations of how it makes me feel. Thank you.
My turn. Okay, good evening, Mr. Stewart.
Hello.
At first, I have to greet you from my family, especially my mother and father, who cannot be here this weekend. They're very sad about it, but I have to say it's a pleasure to meet you after all these years. And my question, it was reported that the final scene of Star Trek Nemesis was very emotional for the actors when shooting. And I just, about 2 weeks ago, I saw the final Next Generation episode of Good Things. And I cannot forget about the final scene where Picard joins the other crew members at the card game. And I wanted to know, did you know at this time there will be some Star Trek movies with a Next Generation crew? Or was it the same situation with of all of you thinking you will never meet again for Next Gen thing?
As a good son, why are you not at home with your mother and father?
I didn't want to miss out. You
didn't want to miss out? Well, will you say hello to your mother and father? And I wish they could have been there.
Yes.
Did they bring you up to watch Star Trek The Next Generation? Did you watch it with them?
Actually not. My father was more interested in Star Trek.
But your mother not?
No, but she would have liked to meet you. That's it.
Well, say hello to your father for me. When we filmed the last scene of All Good Things, we knew we were going to go on immediately to shoot the movie Star Trek Generations. We knew we were because it was already in production. Phil Shatner was somewhere up in the desert already filming it. In addition, when we filmed the last scene of All Good Things, it was not the last day's work. We filmed it in the middle of shooting that episode, which was a pity. Everybody wanted to shoot the poker scene last, but for scheduling reasons, it couldn't work out. I'll tell you what the last moments of the 7 years were. The last moments took place not even on stage 8, 9, or 16, our 3 sound stages at Paramount, but actually took place on stage 80, on a set that had been constructed for Deep Space Nine. And it was a scene between myself and John Delancey as Q, in which we had gone to some terrible place maybe he had taken me to some place on the surface of the earth at some point at which the earth was nothing more than a molten ball of fire and flame. And it was about 2:15 in the morning, and for the previous 2 days, all of the executives of Paramount, a lot of other celebrities and well-known people had been visiting our set to say goodbye and wish us well and congratulate us and so forth, and a lot of tears were shed. At 2:15 in the morning, there was no one there. No one watched us wrap that series, and it was really disappointing. And so I said the last line, and the director called cut, and the first assistant director said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the series is wrapped," and we all went home. But then we did meet 3 days later to start filming Generations.
Okay, thank you.
I haven't finished. You'll know when I'm finished. I'll look really bored. No, but it's an interesting question. You see, it's nice when you get asked questions you've never been asked before. It's nice to just play with them a little bit.
It wasn't asked before?
I beg your pardon?
It wasn't asked before?
Never. Congratulations. This is really embarrassing, but will you remind me what the last moments of Nemesis were? I know Data was dead. Is that all right when I say that? I mean, there might be somebody out there who hasn't seen it. I know one person out there who didn't know that, and I'm in big trouble now. What was the last moment of Nemesis?
In the captain's room, where all the crew joined together for the meal.
What? The wine? On the bridge? What happened? Nobody can remember either. It's obviously really a big moment. Actually, I'll tell you what was. I mean, honestly, the poker game was just lovely. By the way, I wonder how many of you know that the last line of the last episode of Next Generation was actually written by Brent Spiner. Do you remember what the last line is? Sky's the limit, yes. That was Brent's idea, and it was written in right there at the table while we were playing the game. Halfway through shooting Nemesis, early one morning, we filmed the scene in which Commander Riker came to say goodbye. It was 7 o'clock, another 7 a.m. on the set, Paramount Studios, cold, cups of coffee in the hands, script there, long day ahead of us, and the director said, "Okay, let's just walk it through. Patrick, you're sitting behind the desk. Jonathan, bing bong, the door's open, we come in. Maybe you should get up, Patrick, walk around the desk, we have a conversation." Jonathan goes out. When it came to the moment of Jonathan saying, "It has been an honor serving with you," and I had to reply, "The honor was all mine." There at 7:05 in the morning, I wept, I broke down and cried because I was so overwhelmed. And that was in the middle of the shoot. We still had weeks of filming to go. But there was something about saying goodbye to Jonathan Frakes that was simply overwhelming. Thank you very much. Okay, next one.
Me? Okay.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to greet you for my brother who could not be here. My sister was already here. I would like to say that you are for us the captain of the Starfleet, and we have enjoyed a lot of movies. For example, Moby Dick, others, Star Trek, and for example, Cannibal Ghost was my favorite film of it. Okay, so I've been to London this year and have seen the Globe Theatre. I'd be interested if you have ever been playing there, if it has already been built up there, and you could play there.
I have. Thank you for mentioning all those other things. That's nice. They're really important. No, I have never worked at the Globe Theatre, and I have a shameful admission to make. I've never actually seen a play at the Globe Theatre. I've been inside the theatre when it was under construction, and it's now almost my local theatre. I live in that neighbourhood, but I haven't seen anything there. And what was the rest of your question?
Okay,
what?
Another question.
That was it, wasn't it? That was the question.
Yes, and my sister already asked for the Shakespearean lyrics, and I would be interested in...
That was your sister?
Yes. In which other kind of literature you like, English or German, which are your favorites? One example or so. Or is it too difficult?
Well, it's really, we always get asked about favourite this and that, and it's very difficult because you have favourites for all kinds of different reasons. And very often with actors, especially stage actors, they would say, what I'm doing now is the best thing that I've ever done, because you become so engaged with it, But there are certain roles that I played that even though they're over and gone in the past, I still have a passion for and care about. Some modern roles and some classical roles too. And the nice thing about being a stage actor is that you can go back and do them again. Or you can do the same play and play another character. Whereas with films are done, they're over. And although they're out there and you can always sit back and watch them, you never have a chance to return to them, to renew a relationship with them, Thank you. Where are your parents?
My mother is here, also my mother is home.
Ah.
Yeah.
What is this with mothers that don't want to come and see these? I used to be so big with mothers once upon a time, but I guess those days are gone now, aren't they? So,
she didn't have the time to do other things. She would have loved to come, but it could not be changed. She would have loved, really.
Really?
I think so.
I feel so much better now. Thank you very much. Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Stewart.
Good evening.
I think the whole crowd and I appreciate it if actors like you show emotions like you did before. And my question is, in Star Trek Generations, you had a role as a father. Was the script in the Nexus? Was the script always written, or was it your wish to have a role in which you play father?
What an interesting question. Another one, you see, brand new questions. You never know. It's always surprising. Picard as father. Well, there's been this history throughout the series. There were all of those suspicions that Wesley Crusher was really Picard's son. It ain't true. He was that other guy who was married to Beverly Crusher, whose name I can't remember. Bill Crusher, Harry Crusher. But there'd also been this thing of Picard not liking children and being uncomfortable around children. So I think those were some of the reasons that made the writers think that to put Picard into a domestic atmosphere with a wife and kids might be not only interesting, given that the subject of that film was about handing over, passing on of one generation, passing the torch to another. But that But no, I had no influence on that whatsoever.
And was there a role in which you had influence? For example, there was another series, not a bad fan, I don't know the name of the series, in which you were father, the one with the Resicanian flirting, don't know the word. Like
Inner Light. Is that the one?
Inner Light, yeah, Inner Light, right.
Yes. Inner Light was a very, very important episode for all of them, for me particularly. It's my personal favorite. Because it was about Picard, and yet it took Picard entirely out of the world in which we knew him, set him down in a modest domestic atmosphere, gave him a wife, children, grandchildren, and friendships that were unlike the kind of friendships he'd established on the Enterprise, and then returned him to his own world at the end. Very moving. It's also the episode in which my son appeared too, so I was working with him for the first time. He's an actor.
You're not finished, okay. I'm sorry. I really do apologize.
It's all right. Go on.
Okay, is there another series or another scene which you are especially proud of?
I was quite pleased with some of the work that I did in the Four Lights episode, the Jennifer. And again, an especial pleasure for me in that was working with the actor who played the Cardassian, because his name, as you may know, is David Warner. And David Warner had played Hamlet the very first time actually the second play that I ever did with the Royal Shakespeare Company, and the first time that I was ever in Hamlet, he was the Hamlet, and I thought he was wonderful. So to have that opportunity to be working with him in that way was really very nice. I think you've had enough time.
Yeah, okay.
Because this wasn't meant to be an evening with you and me.
Okay. Thank you.
And you wouldn't have gone so long if you'd not been wearing that wonderful tie.
I don't have any questions, but I want to thank you. 1 week ago, I made my exam in my acting school in Berlin, and now I'm allowed to call myself professional actor. And I want to
congratulate.
I want to thank you for the inspiration you gave me during the years with the work, not only with Star Trek, but with Moby Dick, Christmas Carol, and I think you are the finest actor I ever saw.
You have joined a great profession. And I am so grateful after 40 odd years of doing this job that I have spent so much of my life in the company of actors, because they are fantastic people. I love them. I love their courage and their determination and their sense of fun and good humor. Frankly, most of the time, a lousy profession. But it's great to welcome you to our ranks. What's your name?
Bernd, short form of Bernd.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Don't mess with me. I've dealt with you guys before. I'm not afraid of you. I've dealt with Michael Dorn for 15 years. You got scared.
I don't want. I have two things.
first is I'm here at the messenger, because I was at the Expo track.
You were where?
The Expo track. It was a convention at the Expo. It was.
Oh, okay. Yes, right, fine. You don't have to go into details.
Yeah,
that's the problem with Klingons. They go into detail. You know why they do it? You know why they're obsessed with details? It's eating garch.
Just short. And because there.
You're going to be really sorry you came in that outfit before this evening is over.
I'm trying to be polite, but I'm a tough guy. And Nicole de Boer was there, the actress of Netflix, and she asked the audience a favor. She said that she ever tried to meet you in person, but she never could. And so she asked the audience, if we ever see Patrick Stewart, you should tell him that she loves you.
That's why you said you're really a messenger. Very good. It was such a long question, I interrupted you so many times. I've now forgotten who she was. Who?
Nicole de Boer, the actress of Esridex from DS9.
Oh, yes. Well. And you have a part B to your question, do you?
I have one question, yes. I want to ask you, for Nemesis, what do you think about, I'm too soft, this. What do you think about the very heroic role of Captain Picard in Nemesis? Because I think it was not very typical for Picard. Picard is a diplomat, he's a very, the greatest captain ever. He's not a random guy with an M16 and wow. What do you think about it?
That is so typically Klingon. For a long time, I thought that Picard was too sedentary, too intellectual, too reserved, and he didn't have any fun, and he didn't meet girls, and he didn't, get drunk, and he didn't, beat up the bad guys, and all of those things that heroes are meant to do. So we began infiltrating more and more and more of that into the series, and I liked all of that action stuff. Falling down those metal stairs was not fun, however, I can tell you that. That was with wrestling with the young actor Tom Hardy. Yes. He really threw himself into that. Right. Well, thank you. Clean up. Yes?
Hello. First, thank you for being here. But first I want to say I can apologize for that. I've heard what happened at the airport. That's not normally for fans. There were some problems. Anyway, there are no problems. Everything's all right. So my question is, I want to know a thing you really loved, and a thing you really hate when you're making Star Trek.
I think I really loved and I think I really hated when I was making Star Trek. Nothing happened at the airport. There were 3 or 4 fans there, that's all, and it was fine. There was no, really, they were lovely.
Okay.
I mean, well, they weren't lovely, but I mean, they were civil. And they didn't tail us in the car, which is always nice. Really love, really hate it. Yes. Well, I told you how much I adore these people that I work with. And so I would probably have to tiresomely repeat that being with those people for those 7 years was so far and away the best. And not just those 7 people, but others, Whoopi, Will, Rick Berman, our director friends, and so forth. Hated. Really hated. Rewrites. When you've already learned the scene and then at 1 o'clock in the morning you get a whole lot of stuff shoved under your door and the scene has all been rewritten. Late nights, Friday nights, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, still shooting. Nearly invariably Jonathan and myself, they used to leave all those scenes till the end of the week when we would shoot them. And I resented that. You see, I'm so blessed because there actually wasn't anything that I could say I really hated. I hated myself sometimes. Other than that, no, it was mostly very, very good. Thank you. Yes.
Hello, I'm very happy to see you and I'm also very excited. My question is about the episode Chain of Command Part 2. How it was to make this episode and how your experience was and how you prepared. And I was very, very impressed. I saw this with your original voices, not translated into German, and I was very surprised because of this episode of you.
Something that you ought to understand, that when you say you're excited,
yes,
in that outfit it's impossible to tell. Why would you want to do that to yourself? You look as though you're an attractive person. Why would you want to?
I love the ball.
You love the ball. They are. They were a wonderful idea. They were a wonderful concept. They were one of the best villains there's ever been.
Yes. Did you understand my question?
Yes, I did. When you smile, it's really nice. Chain of Command, yes. Part 2.
Yes.
The torture.
Yes.
That's what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes, I can tell you something about that because when that episode was being written, I and the writers, we met with some people from Amnesty International. I've been a member of Amnesty for many, many years. It's a simply wonderful organization. There is probably no other organization who has done more research and knows as much about torture than Amnesty does. And so they gave us some help, and not only in the business of torture, but also in what the impact of torture is on the torturer as well as the torture. And that was very valuable. And it was an opportunity to explore things like courage and basic beliefs in decent behavior and so forth. I said that it gave me the opportunity to work with this wonderful actor, David Warner, which was a pleasure, and to take all my clothes off in front of the camera, which I really enjoyed.
And do you have some projects in Amnesty that you now take part on, or no?
Well, I do. I have created a scholarship, a student scholarship, which has actually been in existence about 7 years, which gives grants to student activists to engage themselves directly with human rights issues worldwide. These students go into every continent, into some of the most dangerous and scariest places on the planet to do their human rights work. So that's an ongoing process for me, and I'm a member of the Executive Directors Council of Amnesty International USA. And I was recently active in helping to promote a new campaign which Amnesty undertook, something a little bit different from them, which was protesting about violence towards women, specifically. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We've got 5 or 6 minutes left, that's all. And so we should try and, I will try and answer these questions a little quicker so that we can get through more people. Hello.
If you were not an actor, what would have been your profession? What is, let's say, your second passion?
If I'd not been an actor, well, in the same world, I would very much, well, I've done a little bit of film directing. I think it might just be possible, actually, that to be a working, successful film director might be the best job in the world. But if I had it all over again and I could choose anything and it could really happen, it would be music that I would be involved in. As a singer, well, it would be nice to be able to sing really, really well, but I think as an instrumentalist, actually. Yes.
You ever play Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream, and if yes, which part you played?
I have played Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream several times, including the legendary Peter Brook production in the white box with the big scarlet feather. And I played Snap Particular, which is actually the smallest part in Midsummer Night's Dream. But I played Oberon twice. And I would love to do it again, and I would really like to play the role of Bottom the Weaver, but it's not a role that people naturally see me in. Thank you. Yes?
Bonjour, good evening. I shortly ago watched some scenes from Star Trek with a friend who only knew the dubbed versions of the series. It was the first time for her. She heard you talking in your own voice. In that moment, she said aloud, "Now I believe that man can act Shakespeare." That brought to my mind 2 questions. The first, have you ever heard one of your dubbing voices? And if so, how do you feel about it and about the dubbing in general?
Well, to answer, I've heard Picard in Italian and I've heard it in German, and I thought they were both fantastic. I never knew I spoke languages so well. I'm told that the Japanese Picard is very good too, but I've never heard it. What was the second part?
That were both questions. You know, you had 2 different German dubbing voices?
No. How come?
The series changed the TV network between the episodes, and they changed the voice.
I didn't know this. I don't know which one I heard, but it was good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Stewart. Thank you for being here. I have 2 questions. What was the happiest moment in your life, and what's your biggest fear?
What was the second part of the question?
What's your biggest fear?
Biggest fear? Well, the happiest moment in my life might be at this time in my life, which is as happy as I've ever been, is coming towards me in a couple of months' time, because in November I am formally appointed as Chancellor of the University of Huddersfield, which I've been kind of Chancellor in waiting for nearly a year. And on the day that I'm installed as Chancellor of the University, I will confer an honorary Doctor of Letters degree on the English teacher who, when I was 12 years old, first had me speak Shakespeare out loud. And this man who was responsible for beginning it all, no matter how I was programmed, no matter what the genetics were, if it had not been for Cecil Gorman saying, read this, read it out loud, no, it's a play, it's real life, act it. I don't think any of the rest of this would have happened. Because one man believed in me, and he was the same man who said to me, have you thought about doing this as a career? Nobody had ever said that to me before. Then I'm sure it wouldn't have happened. So that's going to be a big event in my life, and I can't think of anything at the moment. Given that this is anyway a very, very happy time, that could make me happier. What do I most fear? I spent a large part of my early career being afraid, for a whole variety of reasons. Afraid of stupid things, about being an actor. And perhaps the one thing I would fear most is that I've gone back to that place where I was 25 years ago, instead of being where I am now. Thank you. We have two more questions.
Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to ask you, can you tell something about your project Dune from 1982, and how do you think about this project today?
I'm sorry, tell me again what the project was.
Dune, Frank Herbert's Dune.
Dune! Well, it was a long time ago. I replaced an actor they had to take out of the movie, so I went in very short notice, very suddenly, and I spent the first couple of weeks in the film not knowing what the heck was happening, because I didn't understand the film, and it was all just so unfamiliar. But I respected the work that David Lynch, the director, had done before Dune, and like X-Men and Next Generation, I got to work with some wonderful people. The most lasting impact of Dune for me was that Kyle MacLachlan became one of my best friends, and he and I worked together on the stage in New York last year, very, very closely for 5 months. We're going to be working again together in a few weeks' time on another project. That is, for me, the lasting benefit of being in that film, is this great friendship with a wonderful man and terrific actor. Now, last one.
Good evening. My name is
You know what?
My question.
You know what? Take the glasses off.
Well, that's
yeah, really, it's good. It's good.
My question is this possible? We have the same hairdresser. I don't know, in England or in the United States, or you do it yourself. It's Jeff. Sorry.
Yeah. On occasions such as this, you always hope that the last question will be a question that will resonate. You know, people will go home going, wow, that was profound. That was really, really heavy. I'm going to be thinking about this for weeks now. And what are we talking about? Hairdressers?
Yes. You do it yourself, or you have some...
And why not?
Yes.
I've never had a hairdresser in my life.
Me too.
I do it myself. Setting one. Actually, that's not true. I have had wonderful hairdressers because I wear a lot of wigs and I love wearing hair. It's great. It's great for me because you can change yourself significantly with wearing hair. I look back, I mean, I lost my hair when I was 19, and it was It was horrible.
This is a terrible.
Absolutely horrible.
Yes, I know this. I don't have this.
I mean, I think that's why, for years, I actually kind of went around like this, because I was sort of ashamed and embarrassed. It's, but not anymore. And so that's not something that I don't even think about it anymore. And I just wish that I had not been so kind of humiliated by what happened back then, because it was really such a waste of time.
So it's only a question.
Now you've got the big resident question. Say that one. You don't. Okay. Well, maybe you have one. Do you have a resident question?
Here's a very important question. Sorry, Mr. Stewart.
Oh.
Shakespeare.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about Shakespeare. Since you've been talking and asked about it the last couple of minutes and the last hour, could you please perform something for us?
By the way, before we do wrap this up, thank you to all of you who have asked questions. Thank you for your wonderful English and expressiveness and courtesy. And yet again, it makes me feel inadequate with my few words of German at the beginning of the evening that you could so beautifully talk to me and understand me when I talk back to you. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you very much. All right. These are nerve-wracking moments because they're unexpected. But what I will do is maybe the last speech from The Tempest, hoping that I will remember it. Now my charms are all o'erthrown, and what strength I have is mine own, which is most faint. Let me not, since I have my dukedom got and pardon the deceiver, dwell in this bare island by your spell. But relieve me from my bands with the help of your good hands. Gentle breath of yours my sails must fill, or else my project fails, which was to please. Now 'tis true, I must be here confined by you, or sent to Naples. As you from crimes would pardon me, let your indulgence set me free.
Das war Patrick Stewart. Ihr könnt euch wieder hinsetzen. Ihr könnt euch wieder hinsetzen.
Können wir mal das fiese Licht hier oben, das weiße, das wird ein bisschen dünner machen, danke.